not enough to get out of the Castle of Tantegel. You need a return for that. Unfortunately, it only works in caves to get you out. So unless we have Erdrick's Sword or something, we're going to look for some slimes.
And it looks like we got the harp and some gold, so if there is a town nearby, people might even try to save the gold and hold on to the gold to try to get to a nearby town, even if it requires walking a few streams. Given the 4-strength start, we'll see what folks do.
Yeah, and Braxis Muse did attempt to cast the outside there, just in case it was able to save the key, but it doesn't quite work out. How many hit points did they start with? I think they can get out, but this is going to be a struggle, guys. And sometimes when you have to go to the east like this, you will be outside of that primary zone, but they are seeing magicians and ghosts, so that is a good indicator that maybe they're still in that primary zone next to the castle where they could find blue slimes and red slimes. And here's a slime for Braxis Muse, while Xarnax goes looking for a town.
Has Dragon Lord 2 breath, oh no!
Ooh, that's tough because they're doing 0 to 1 damage right now on a slime. There's about a 3/4 chance of doing 1 damage. Slimes have 2 hit points, so it's going to take 2 and sometimes 3 or more swings to defeat a slime. And we don't know for sure yet if the slime has a 75% chance of burning you to death, or maybe the game will be nice and have it only be a 25 or a 50% chance. And we're running into a knight just off, right?
Well,
one step
it's
from the
a
castle.
harp strat. It's a harp strat. He blew the harp, or played the harp, and I think it's a little bit early to do that. Like, you could try the slime again, and maybe you just got unlucky and he's only 25% breath and you'd be able to kill the slime. But at the same time,
exactly.
you start with...
Yeah, there's always a chance you could use that harp and get a metal slime for your troubles. Of course, it could be any enemy in the game that you end up with from the harp.
Right. My understanding, I guess,
play.
is that on each random seed, 5 enemies are selected randomly, and then the harp just selects 1 enemy out of those 5.
Yes. It's either 5 or it might be more like 7 or 8. It might not be like a regular zone, but regardless, there's also a red slime available here, thankfully. And so Braxis Muse is fighting his way through that. Just didn't have the hit points because of running around in the swamp there, but that's going to be their best ticket. Doesn't look like the red slime has anything up its sleeve. So if they can find that one, maybe
Still
that's
not a
the
great
way.
ticket. Yeah, I was going to say, if their hit points go down into the, single digits and they're fighting a red slime and it's a multi-round combat, it could still be tough. So
it could.
Just have to see how it goes.
Yeah, they have 10 agility, which translates to 5 defense power. I don't remember what this red slime would do to you. I guess probably 2 or 3 damage sometimes. So yeah, if you only have a few hit points to work with, it might be tough. Again, if you're only occasionally damaging the red slime, it could take 4 or 5 attacks to defeat one. They might be discussing a possible reseed.
Right.
Here.
I was just
sure.
about to say, do you think they'll possibly float a reseed? And I could definitely see that happening at this point. Both players have tried harp strats and have seen at least 2 different enemies from the harp. I think, they've both seen the blue slime, I think. And yeah, I mean, with the hit points that they get out with, 6 hit points. Ooh, excellent move on a slime by Braxis Muse means he's earned 1
Only needs to do
point.
that 4 more times to get to level 2. The Drakea would be an interesting play if they had a lot more hit points or something to work with. They're 50-50 to damage a Drakea, and an excellent move, but it's not enough. But the Drakea has Stop Spell. This could be a chance here. Oh my goodness, 3 more experience. He's 1 slime away, guys.
And that probably
red
seals...
Red slime has hurt more, so this is brutal.
But yeah, that probably seals it with 4 experience. If anything good comes at level 2, it's hard to imagine that Braxis would want to go for a reseed at this point, unless he's being especially sporting, which is definitely a possibility, because you could see that if you got an excellent move and your opponent's still looking at this, that it's a pretty unfortunate start. So we could still see a reseed. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, Xarnax just took a swing at a ghost, maybe trying to fish for an excellent move himself, because I think he has already seen the hurt more from the red slime and the Dragon Lord breath from the blue slime, I think. And if both of those enemies are no good in the seed, it really does become like it's a situation where one of the runners could conceivably take about 20 minutes to get off level 1 here, because you really are fishing for a crit. But Braxis Muse, 5 minutes in, gets 2 more power for his troubles here, and some additional hit points, which could prove to be helpful against the Drakey. Drakey has hurt, unfortunately. He might want to at least attempt the Ghost, but as we know, exactly 6 attack power against the Ghost is very bad.
Right,
So
rather than having a 1 in 2 chance of hitting 1, you get a 1 in 3 chance of scoring 1 hit point. However, if you do excellent move on the Ghost, that little bit of extra strength does probably bring it in range, whereas previously the excellent move at level 4 probably wasn't going to kill the Ghost anyway.
And here are the last couple of possibilities. They could try and just run out into the world and hope to run into a Metal Slime. And if somehow they outlast the Metal Slime with only a few hit points, then, that will vault them immediately up to level 6. Lastly, they could try and run around and see if there's any caves nearby and just hope that they can find Erdrick's sword. These are all long shots, though, and you could certainly go for, 10, 20, or 30 minutes, and none of those things will pan out.
There is one other extreme long shot that I don't know that either of these players would try, and definitely not Braxis at this point, which is to do like RNG manipulation, start with the save state in the game and try to, get the blue slime or the red slime and try to do a different sequence of commands in order to, get the excellent move or not have him cast the one-hit kill.
Yeah, that would generally take a pretty long time to do it successfully, but you're right. I mean, it's certainly possible. What you do is you'd save your game so that every time you reload your game, you just try and repeat your movements over to the same area, and if you do it correctly, you'll have the same encounter, and it will operate in the same manner depending on which commands you go after in your fight. So you can tweak some things to try and make it do something else, but that I think in a race situation, I don't know. I think I'd rather just re-roll the seed at that point.
Well, it looks like Xarnax finally managed to down a blue slime while he was still walking out of the swamp, so he's at least got 1 hit point.
Yeah, with both runners pausing like this, I think there's some typing going on, and I think it's gonna happen, guys. I think we're done with this seed because it's a long way to level 3, and there's the Drakey turned out to be no good with the hurt spell. The Ghost is not gonna work. Red slime, blue slime. There's just no real good way to proceed in a timely manner here. We could be looking at a half an hour before somebody gets to level 3, so
Indeed.
We're going to start over.
Win for everybody in my book.
Totally agree. We want, I think, to be entertained a little bit more than this. I mean, it's entertaining, but it would be long. So
right, and I always feel especially bad, like even if you're on the kind of like winning end and you're the one who scored the excellent move against the Drakey, like you just feel bad knowing that your opponent's done probably nothing wrong and is now 10 or 15 minutes behind you with little hope of catching up. Just doesn't make it a fair fight. So hopefully the next re-rolled seed will turn out a whole lot better.
Yeah, and maybe we'll post this seed in the Discord if anyone wants to actually try and finish it. But yeah, that happens once in a while where it's just not worth trying to continue a seed. It's sort of rare when both runners will agree to this, but I think we can see that most possibilities have been exhausted. They could have potentially tried the harp a few more times to see if they could get a metal slime to pop up. I don't know. It's well, we're moving on, guys. We're moving on. So this will take just a few minutes. The seed's been re-rolled. They're generating the file. We're going to get to the point where we are inputting the names and getting re-readied up for a new race here in a minute or two.
And yeah, someone asked in the chat if they wanted to find the seed number. You could either go back and look at the VODs in order to grab the seed number right off the title screen of one of the two runners, or if you are part of our Discord, one of the things the Discord has is race alerts that print out all the seed numbers for every race that's going on. And so that's an easy way to go back and look at seeds that others have.
We have an improvement. We're going to start with 5 strength this time instead of 4 strength.
Game changer.
This is way better, as noted by Fury SK in chat.
In
Way
all
better indeed.
fairness, it is unlikely that the slime, red slime, and Drakey are going to have one-hit KOs on the players this time around, so this probably is going to be a lot better.
Yeah, and we have the repel spell this time instead of the outside spell, so yeah, I mean we're improving things here. McGrew is cheering for more swamp. We want to make sure that we have maximum pain here, but let's see. I'm not sure exactly when they're going to get started. I think they're probably just about ready. So maybe each player wants to take a short rest, take a sip of water, make sure that they clear from their minds the the disaster that was that
What disaster? I have no idea
previous.
what you're talking about up to
Yeah. Oh,
NG. All
I've
I see is
forgotten
a
already.
cafe starting up that's going to be great.
Here we go.
With bated breath, what's going to be in the chests? I see the fighter's ring! We've gone from 5 to 7 attack power. Now the Drakeys and even the Ghost possibly could be killable.
Yes, and I haven't noticed Braxis Muse equipping it yet, but there it is. So they both have 7 attack power now. As you mentioned, that in the early game, that is actually pretty significant. Let's see what's outside. Oh,
look, it's Breck! They're probably very excited to see it.
not too shabby, but that means that there could be some cheap upgrades available. Let's check out the shop here.
Ooh, there's some good stuff in the later game, and it looks like there's a club as well, so if they can accumulate a little bit of money, that could be a nice little help.
So Xarnax is going to try the Drakey. It's a little bit tough on 7 attack power. They are, I think, doing 1 to 2 damage against the Drakey, but he didn't have a whole lot of hit points to work with, so it's probably not going to happen.
And the Drakey has shown up with heal, so I guess the Drakeys are probably out for the moment.
Yeah. Again, just like before, we don't know if that's a 75% heal or not, so
Yeah,
that's
a good
I would
point.
still try it if I can't find anything else. Yeah. But just another wrench to be thrown into the works. Here's a red slime for Braxis Muse. Let's see the fire breath. Okay, we have sleep.
The crowd is getting their money's worth.
We had the sleep and tickle so far for the red slime, and that's 2 experience for Braxis Muse. He is taking a commanding lead. Oh, but no, I missed 3 experience points for Xarnax, so he's closed the gap. And unfortunately, it's mostly grasslands unless you go all the way east into this forest, but by then it looks like you're in the secondary zone as we see a wolf making quick work of Braxis Muse. So the best chance for finding the red slimes are going to be staying in the grasslands, which have a very low encounter rate, frustratingly enough, but Xarnax has found one and he's on level 2. Yeah, so the sleep spell is interesting that they just picked up, because now that if they run into something along the lines of a magician, they could take a crack at it. At 9 attack power, I think you're still not quite damaging a magician, but certainly it puts the Drakey on the table, who is unable to cast the heal spell if he's asleep, of course. Scorpion's available for later, they can't damage him quite yet. And Xarnax is going to take a little search here. Is it the armor? No, it's nothing.
Always fun to search those 1 tiles after a bridge, and it's fun to see people keeping it up even in the races. But yeah, the sleep spell can be extremely versatile when you get it this early in the game. It can put a lot of enemies on the table that you normally wouldn't be able to take out, either because, like the Drakey, they have heal, but they can't heal when they're asleep, or because it just gives you that many more attacks to try to take down someone who you have to whittle down their hit points.
And something that I actually don't know the answer to, Lorgon, is, some of these runners are actually going sort of back and forth across the bridge. First of all, I think that you can get an encounter on the bridge, but I'm not entirely sure. And if so, I'm not sure what the encounter rate is on the bridge itself.
It's the same as a forest tile, which is like the default of, is that like 1 in 16 or something?
Yes.
I vaguely recall reading that sometime in the past, but
so
it
would be interesting if it's all grasslands. Maybe you should just go back and forth on that bridge, because the grassland is more like 1 in 24. Not exactly. The grasslands are more of a
Right, the
checkerboard
grasslands is
pattern.
vertical strips, right? Or they're like
Yeah,
1 in
I think
32
it's
and 1 in
actually a
16
checkerboard.
or something.
I think it's a checkerboard. So if you can figure out which side, yields more, um, more encounters, maybe you can go back and forth on the bridge and then one particular side of the bridge and up your encounter rate in the primary zone to 1 in 16. I'm
In the
kind of
chat, though,
speculating.
Theo says that the bridge is the same as grass, in which case it wouldn't actually help, but
Oh,
we
bummer.
can always hope.
Same as grass. Well, at least they are finding some enemies. Here's a Drakey attempt on Braxis Muse
Excellent.
Screen.
Boom.
Oh, and that puts him to level 2, so very nice. We have a race, guys.
And yeah, speaking of the race, the goal is, of course, to defeat the evil Dragon Lord, who's going to be hiding in Charlotte Castle. In order to be able to get in there, the runners are going to have to acquire a number of key items and then visit a couple of old men to put those key items together to eventually assemble the Rainbow Drop so that they'll be able to create a bridge into Charlotte Castle. But that's still going to be a long ways away.
So I just want to point out a quick little tactic is Xarnax is putting the Magidrakey to sleep. Doesn't seem to have any special abilities, and they are doing 0 to 1 damage on a Magidrakey that has double-digit hit points. So you're talking about potentially like a 25-round combat if you can survive it. But if it's spending most of its turns asleep, I guess it's possible that you could defeat this here. And Xarnax does exactly that to take him to level 3. So that was an interesting fight there.
And I saw they got a ton of hit points there, it looked like. I didn't notice all the rest of the stats as they were scrolling by, but level 3, well, has enticed Xarnax to walk further afield, and he meets up with an armed knight who is going to end his life very quickly.
Yeah, except for this one town nearby, not much going on exploration-wise. They've kind of poked out in both directions. We see the landmass here is kind of a chain of small islands. There's not too many different directions that you can go in. And, one of the things they may want to try to do, as best they can, is just to try to save up that 60 gold for the club.
I was just about to say the same thing. I was going to say at level 3 now,
Yeah.
Xarnax should be able to stay alive long enough if he just stays in his lane, stays in this zone,
So
to
remember,
accumulate that 60.
to help do that, instead of taking the death every time, the inn in Breckenary is only 6 gold. So you can go and refresh your HP there and hold on to the majority of your gold if you're making a run at this club.
And I think I saw Baraxis take the inn once already. He's still at level 2, so it's going to take him a while to kind of get out of jail here. Well, actually, it looks like he's possibly about to win another battle that's going to get him to level 3. The level 3 seems like where they'll actually be able to kill enough guys who give some gold. And yeah, it looks like Xarnax, if he can pull down this Scorpion, yeah, he's going to be just short of the gold that he needs.
Yeah, Magidrakey's clearly on the table, as you mentioned. 15 attack power is drastically better. It seems like kind of a slow start, but it's actually, we're only about 8 minutes in, and they have made a few level ups here. So I would expect the sleep run tactic happening from Xarnax here, but no, he's going to sleep and attempt to fight the wolf.
That seems pretty exuberant, in my opinion.
Looks like they're doing 1 to 3 damage on a wolf, barring any excellent moves that might be possible. Yeah, I mean, he's basically 1 Magidrakey and 1 other enemy away from level 5. I think I would save this tactic until level 5, but if he proves us wrong and takes down this wolf, that'll be pretty awesome.
It was not meant to be, but it was fun to watch.
Yeah,
and that gives that gives Braxis a little bit of chance to start catching back up here. Looks like he's got level 4.
And one of the nice things about having sleep early, though, is he could have just gone with the sleep run tactic, where they only have 19 agility, so there's a reasonable chance that the wolf won't let you go without taking an attack of opportunity while you're trying to run away there. But if you put him to sleep first, which they hardly resist the sleep spell at all, then you get a free chance to run away. So just, a few little different ways that you can go about this. The Scorpion here is also in play for Braxis Muse.
Although
And
I believe I just saw the Scorpion has Heal More, so you need to keep it asleep
of
in
course it
order to win
does.
the battle. So there's always a new little challenge, a new wrinkle, and that's one of the things I love about this randomizer, with the enemy attacks randomized and the map randomized. Each seed
Hello.
kind of presents puzzles to solve.
Greetings, Math Girl. How are you? Is it that time?
Pretty good. Just about. I'm setting up.
Alright, so I'm going to be leaving you, Lorgon, now that we actually have a race underway here. We do have a restream happening at 9 o'clock, so I'm going to go help out with that. But everybody enjoy this race. Looks to be a close competitive race so far, and I'll be watching it afterwards.
All right, thanks a whole lot, UpTenG.
Sorry for crashing the show. I thought this was just my comp team. Sorry.
No problem, Math Girl, and thanks for hosting the previous race that I was watching. I don't see a reason why not. Hey, Lord of the Synth, how are you doing today?
Wait, I thought I was restreaming this.
This is a race that already started at 8:30, Math Girl.
Sorry.
So yeah, one of the advantages of the tournament going on is there's lots of races each night, and so we had one that may have just finished up earlier with Mr. Holmes that I watched the start of. We've got this one going on now, and we've got another race starting in just a few minutes, scheduled at 9 o'clock. And yeah, unfortunately, I don't know that we have anyone who's able to change the title right now, who's available to change the title on this one. But obviously, as you can see on the screen, we have Braxis Muse versus Xarnax42 and Dragon Warrior Randomizer. Yeah, very hectic behind-the-scenes action in all of this today. Oh, and the skeleton apparently has Dragon Lord 2 Breath and has taken out Xarnax. So it sounds like possibly someone bought a Dragon Scale? Yeah, and then meanwhile... I can't remember, chat, did they ever walk further to the left as a dead end over there, or is there actually anything that's further to the left of the castle at the start? Oh, wow, the excellent move by Braxis Muse on the skeleton. That's a big chunk of change. 17 power, 3 response speed, 1 hit point, and 17 magic points on level 5. That's a big level, and there is a cave over there to the left. And the western cave appears to be... I'm thinking it's got to be Mountain Cave, based on what I just saw, but it's got an Armored Knight inside. And so that's going to be a bit of a tough one. I think in Mountain Cave, the chances that you can get to the chest with 0 encounters are 10% or a little bit less. So unless some of the other enemies in there are going to be friendlier than that Armored Knight, it's unlikely that the racers are going to be heading right back in there, is my guess. And I also missed how it happened that Xarnax is already up to level 6, but now he's really able to truck through these wolves. And yeah, both racers are out of jail and making some real progress. And yeah, since it was mentioned in the chat, in Breckenry, one of the improvements in this version of the randomizer is in Breckenry, the Fairy Water shop is now open by default. It used to be locked. And it's also the case that the counter has been expected. It used to be the case that the shopkeeper could go and kind of hide behind a wall where you couldn't talk to them, and so you had to wait for the NPC to come. And that has been updated in this version of the randomizer as well. So that's a nice improvement that makes Breckenry all that much better. And we have Xarnax getting the next level up. 3, 10, 3, 3. That's a pretty healthy level up. It's not going to really change the tenor of anything so far, but it looks like Xarnax is possibly also going to go exploring a little bit further to the west. And in a seed like this, I always feel like when you get to level 7, level 8 feels like a long way away. You could try to fight a bunch of wolves and just grind it out, but this is often the part where I get at least a little bit impatient if I don't have a good weapon or hurt more yet, and take some runs at exploring a couple screens farther than I probably should, and see if you can get lucky. Xarnax has managed to escape a wizard inside Mountain Cave, and now a droll is an enemy that he can handle. So I think there's probably at least 50% chance he's going to make it to at least one of the chests in Mountain Cave, and maybe can even make it to the second floor and try to check out more. Or maybe I've spoken too quickly, because there's another wizard. Oh, but he managed to get away. I guess with an agility of 40, he's probably, I don't know, about even to get away from the wizard. It's probably close to 50-50. Oh, and look at this. Braxis has found the Armored Knight. It looks like he's just up and to the left of Tanagel, so Tanagel must be right at the top end of a boundary, a zone boundary. Zones are 15 by 15. AK-47 just took him out. So it sounds like Tanagel's near the left edge, near the top edge of his zone boundaries, from what I can tell. Xarnax is also trying to walk over, possibly in that zone. And it looks like, based on Xarnax's behavior, that he is willing to settle in, try to kill a few more wolves, see if level 8 is going to be nice. Meanwhile, Braxis is doing some exploring a bit further afield. He's managed to make his way through the swamp, and a Druid Lord, he manages to put it to sleep. Well, I don't know that he can deal enough damage. He's trying. But if it doesn't go to sleep, I don't know that he's going to win this one. It's going to be close. He does it! Okay, 58 experience. Yeah, I guess I didn't realize just how high their strength had gotten. They're dealing a fair amount of damage, but there's the AK once again. The AK-47, the Armored Knight, seems to be the fun police of this particular seed. We've seen them in both directions, out exploring away from Tanagel to both the east and the west, as well as inside Mountain Cave, and they've basically ended the run for each character's life. So another thing we could mention, as we see all the bridges over on Braxis' side, is one of the new features of this version of the randomizer is the addition of rivers, which kind of cut through the terrain and then create more opportunities for the bridges to spawn as well. As a result of the new map generation that includes the rivers, it has become more common for there to sometimes be just a single continent rather than two continents. So sometimes Swamp Cave will just take you out into a different location on the same continent. In my experience, from what I've seen, it's about 1 in 4 or 1 in 5 seeds will end up with just a single continent, with the swamp just being kind of a warp across it somewhere. And I'm not sure if I saw right, Is there nothing if you go to the east? It looks like it does dead end over there, so the only possible direction to go is to the west past the mountain cave. Alright, and with level 8, Xarnax has learned the spell of Heal More. That will be a minor game changer. With healing, he'll be much more likely to be able to travel long distance, both because he'll be able to escape from some battles as well as make it across the swamps without them slowly draining all of his hit points. And so we might see Xarnax traveling a bit farther now. It also means there's more monsters that can be killed, especially like this Magiwyvern, who's especially sleep susceptible, and once asleep he can always use Heal More to get his hit points back up and then do a few more rounds of attacks. And the Magiwyvern is going to be worth 83 experience, so that's a big deal at this point. That's like a third of the way towards level 9 or something. Alright, and so I think Xarnax just got onto the second floor of Mountain Cave. And is now... or is this... yeah, I guess it is. Oh, but a golem. That could be bad news. He makes it to a chest. Erdrick's Token. That's one of the key items that the players will eventually need in order to assemble the Rainbow Drop. So it is an important thing to find, but at this stage of the race, it's not what you really want to find. You want to find a gold chest, or Erdrick's Sword, or something that's going to help you kill some more enemies and stay alive. The Stones of Sunlight is another key item. And the Fairy Flute. That will help keep the golems at bay, as that item can be played during battle to put a golem to sleep for at least one turn, give you a chance to run away. But it looks like Xarnax just ran right there. I think I would have used the flute. Since he's gotten 4 of the 5 chests on the bottom floor, I would want to increase my odds of staying alive. But I guess... well, with 40 agility... hey, there's a gold chest. Even just that little bit of gold. If he could manage to dive Mountain Cave, he doesn't even need to dive it again. If he could get out, he could definitely get up to 1,500 gold. And I believe there was a broadsword in Breckenray, if I remember correctly. Meanwhile, Braxis is getting some decent enemies for where he's at as well to get experience climbing towards 600, which is going to be where he's going to learn Heal More. And Xarnax has made it off of one of the floors. If he can make it out, he's got a great chance of upgrading to the broadsword, and that'll be a complete game changer. But there is still the Armored Knight lurking somewhere. He's got like 10 more steps to get to the exit. The wizard he can probably get away from. And Braxis made it down to the gold chest as well. He doesn't have as much other gold accumulated, but now that he knows it's down there, and especially after he gets Heal More, he could always go and redive the mountain cave and go after that broadsword as well. And yeah, thanks to our restreamer, Lord of the Synth, who is also doing some help tracking with information from the chat. So now I expect Xarnax to play a conservative game, staying just in the range of the area that had up to the wolf, kill a few more enemies, get that 1500 gold, go buy that broadsword, and then it'll be game on. However, since the skeletons have the breath, he has to take some chances. I almost wonder, would you save at the castle at this point? I guess not, because you could always redive Mountain Cave if you did have the worst happen to you. $14.83 gold. Can he get one more good enemy? With 87 hit points, he could even survive Dragon Lord 2 Breath from the skeleton, and there we go. He's got the 1500 gold. He's walking into Breckenry. This definitely solidifies the small lead that Xarnax has, because this broadsword is going to make it a whole lot easier to kill a bunch of bad guys. And meanwhile, with Braxis so close to getting level 8, I think he's probably just going to hang out in the forest. Or he might go try to dive Mountain Cave again to get the gold again. Or... I'm not sure what he's doing. Meanwhile, if you're Xarnax and you just got a broadsword and can kill a whole bunch more enemies, what do now? Probably do some more exploring. Looks like that's where he set it off. Now, since we already managed to find both the token and the flute inside Mountain Cave, it's interesting because those are 2 of the 3 items that can appear on search spots. That means the armor is the only thing that's left. So the armor is either going to be in Cole, in Hawksness, guarded by a guardian enemy, or somewhere in the overworld where the Cantlin coordinates are going to tell us where to go. But there's no way to know which one of the 3. The other 2 spots are going to be empty. And Xarnax has taken down a green dragon. That would have been unthinkable at level 7 with the club, but at level 8 with the broadsword, and that gets him another level up. I see another 10 hit points there and some other minor increases. And Xarnax, I think, has possibly gone as far away from the castle as either of the players has walked at this point. He's a little bit farther out than Braxis, but there's a dead end up in that corner. So... we don't have keys yet, so we don't know what's underneath Tanajal. A red dragon for the first time, or at least the first time I've noticed, has appeared over on Xarnax's side. And that's an enemy that's likely to take him out. But yeah, once Healmore came along, Braxis managed to get a couple of good fights, and has somewhat closed the experience gap. Unfortunately, he's sitting on 1461 gold right now. I wonder if he remembers that the broadsword is over in Breckenry? And the Fun Police is just wasting so much time on Xarnax's side. On the one hand, you do want to try to run and or heal in order to keep your position on the map so you don't have to walk all the way back there. But on the other hand, it's just spending so much time to a probably inevitable end where the red dragon goes ahead and kills him, so he's going to have to walk back anyway. Okay, Braxis has the gold, and it looks like he is trying to walk back towards Breckenry, so if he can manage to get there, that will quickly turn this into a competitive race again. And here's the other fun piece of the seed. The Armored Knight is definitely the threatening enemy that we've seen the most. Xarnax is going to take a try at killing this guy. He does have tons of magic and heal mores, so he can probably whittle him down unless the AK shows up with a surprise, like a heal more of his own. But in the meantime, Braxis has made it to Breckenry. He's made a beeline for the weapon shop. He does remember that the broadsword is there, and now it is his. So Braxis has a broadsword as well, and so that's going to keep things competitive. Meanwhile, Xarnax is still chipping away at this Armored Knight. And he manages to take him down. That's a whole lot of experience. That's bringing Xarnax pretty close to level 10. And it looks like Xarnax realizes just how close he is to level 10, because it looked like he was just walking back and forth in this desert, trying to get one of these enemies, like the Druin Lord, who will give him just enough to see what the next level is going to be. Wow, 10 power, 8 response speed, 9 hit points, 6 magic points, and a new spell. It's the spell of Hurt More. Look out for the fiery transition on the tracker as Xarnax transitions to level 10, and a bolt of fire shows that he got the Hurt More spell. That's going to make a whole lot more enemies killable. That Armored Knight that took him like 12 rounds of combat before, now is going to go down quickly. And so now it really is unknown to Braxis Muse. How long it takes him to get the next 500 experience and get up to level 10 could be a big decider in the race. If he manages to find good enemies to fight in the next few minutes and get up to Hurt More quickly, he can stay pretty close to even with Xarnax. If instead he does a bunch of exploring and manages to run into some unlucky enemies that he's not able to kill, he could fall further behind. But for those of us who may be joining the race a bit late, this one actually started off with a reroll. The previous seed had 4 strength and started them in a swamp. Slimes had Dragon Lord 2 breath. Red Slimes, I think, had Hurt More. So after about 5 minutes of toil on that seed, we ended up re-rolling. This seed started off with 5 strength, but it also had the Fighter's Ring right at the start in the throne room. And after a little bit of grinding, we're really off to the races at this point. So the town of Cantlin has been found. The big shopping mall has 3 different shops, one of them behind a locked door, and the runners haven't found keys yet, so they won't be able to get into that shop for a little bit. But a variety of other weapons and armor are going to be available. And while Hurt More would be very good against the Armored Knight, who's very susceptible to Hurt More, should land like 15 out of 16 times, the Red Dragon, on the other hand, is not susceptible to Hurt More. So Xarnax is trying what he can do to get away, but once again the Red Dragon ends up ending his life, and he'll be warped back to the castle with half of his money. And Braxis Muse is fighting a Star Wyvern. With all the heal mores he has, he should be able to whittle this enemy down. And 105 experience will be like another third of the way to the next level up. So if Braxis can manage to find 2 or 3 more good enemies, it looks like he's going to get up to level 10 and hurt more. And with all the AKs that are running around, if you just happen to walk into a bunch of them with all the magic points that the players have, if you notice on the tracker, their magic points are already in the orange, showing that it's close to being Dragon Lord ready here at levels 9 to 10. With all that magic, there's a lot of enemies you can hurt more. Xarnax manages to take down another Armored Knight. He's getting close to level 11, but there's still a lot of exploration to be done. It's often the case that players are getting warped back to Tanagel, not of their own desires. I'm kind of surprised that Xarnax is swinging at the Druid Lord. They have so much magic. I think I would just choose to hurt more on some of those mid-tier enemies, just to shorten the battles. With the expectation that you're going to make it to a town where you'll be able to use the inn and get your magic points back. So that's a minor difference in strategy that I could imagine we'll see what Braxis does once he actually gets hurt more. Speaking of Braxis' size, it looks like he has just found another cave that might be the Tablet Cave. Yes, it is. So we'll get a chance. There's going to be one chest and no monsters in this cave. So on Braxis' side, we'll get a chance to see what it is, but without the outside spell, after walking down to the chest, he'll have to walk back out. It'll cost him an extra 20 to 30 seconds to walk back out, which isn't too bad, especially if the chest contains something good. But in this instance, that chest contains just a torch. In the chat, use the torch, dive a cave, get a torch. But you also get the information that there's nothing else in that chest. One fewer chest to have to look for Erdrick's sword at the end of the game, perhaps. Not to mention the entertainment you give to all the viewers who are here with us. Thanks for joining us here tonight on Randomania 3. I believe there's still at least one other Dragon Warrior Randomizer match going on right now that started at 9 o'clock, and I don't remember who was in that one, but I'm sure this one's better and you're in the right spot. Xarnax also gets the good news about the torch in the bottom of Tablet Cave. Oh, 2 more to come in the other races. Yeah, keep an eye on the chat for all the information about races that are coming for the rest of the day today. It's a busy time here at the start of the tournament. It's a huge field. I think we have 64 participants. So 5-round Swiss has many matches each week and each night. And it's a little bit unfortunate for Xarnax that he's run into this Axe Knight right before he's gotten level 10 and hurt more, and furthermore, the Axe Knight has heal. So I'm not sure that he's going to be able to hit through this unless the Axe Knight chooses not to heal. So this could be an enemy that really slows him down right before he gets this essential level up with hurt more. And so that's just a little bit of unluckiness, but he does manage to take it down. Now he's going to get the good news. Be sure to look at your screen on the bottom left to see the fire transition as Abraxas gets to level 10 and gets the Hurt More spell. And meanwhile, Xarnax looks like he's just one enemy away, probably this one, from getting level 11. So we'll see what this gives. 5, 5, 10, 4. They've had some substantial level gains. The hit points are already outstanding, the magic points are terrific as well, and the strength is even pretty average. The agility is the only thing you could complain about in this seed, so perhaps this seed is forgiving them for the reroll that they had to endure for 5 minutes previously, and giving them a really nice seed this time around. So, did Xarnax find the swamp, or where is he right now? But he just chose to walk out? I'm not entirely sure what just happened there. While I mentioned at the beginning that these two racers, I think, were ranked number 20 and number 21 on the Speedruns Live leaderboards coming in, and so far we do have a very even race, so it was kind of what I expected. Happy to see how this one is unfolding so far. I hope you guys are enjoying watching. Braxis is just about one monster away from getting level 11 as well, and only about 500 experience behind Xarnax right now. But there is a new town on Xarnax's screen, on perhaps a second continent, and it is the town of Garanham. We still don't have keys on either side, so this is another place that they're going to have to return to later, in all likelihood, once they do get keys. But at this point, it looks like we might need to find Remolder. And yeah, after some comments in the chat, there's kind of two kinds of seeds in my opinion. There's kind of grind seeds, where you get all the stuff and then you need to grind a bunch of levels in order to be strong enough to defeat the Dragon Lord. And there's what I like to call homework seeds, where you're going to be plenty strong by the time you're done, and all you need to do is manage to find all the stuff. And this seems to be one of those in the latter category, where it's all about doing the exploration, and sufficient stats are just going to come along the way. But over on Xarnax's side, we have found Sharlock and another town. This is the town of Remolder. This could once again break things open on his side. Meanwhile, Braxis has found a red dragon, which he has a shot at killing, but it's going to slow him down a little bit. Oh, put the red dragons on both sides. We have a dual sighting of the Fun Police. Look out. Big C is apparently the new name for Sharlock. That just started a couple of days ago, and it's already a thing. Oh, and Xarnax has been eaten by a red dragon who managed to hit him for 50. 5-0. Well, that's what happens when you're walking around with such a little armor. Just the large shield and the dragon scale for both players, so far as I can tell. And since Brax got the kill and is likely to also defeat this armored knight, this could be the first experience lead for Braxis, since it was like 4-1 back in the reroll. Such is the nature of Randomizer, and also in a Hurtmore seed that has both AKs and red dragons. If you luck into the AKs, you're going to earn some good experience. If you luck into the red dragons, you're going to be slowed down and possibly have a bad time. And so I'm sure that's got to be frustrating for Xarnax, because he really felt like he was getting into a flow. He was getting a whole lot of really great exploration very far afield, and then got cut off right before what could have been a huge turning point. And there's another level up with the spell of... Did I see Stop Spell in there? They only got a quick look at it. But we've got level 12 for Braxis. Yeah, it looks like Stop Spell, Little Heal were both learned at level 12. Little Heal is pretty useful, because there's often the case where you just want to get like another 20 hit points and you don't want to waste all your magic along the way, especially with all the swamp tiles that these guys are having to walk across right now. And as chat has pointed out, Death Necklace is totally in play with, 130 hit points at level 12. You already could put on the Death Necklace and still have your kind of quote-unquote minimum of 97 for the Dragonlord fight. So, presuming that the players can find the Death Necklace, I expect to see both of them put it on once it comes time to fight the Dragonlord, possibly even earlier. We'll see. And just as a reminder, this is a seed that started out with 5 strength, and looked like it might be off to a little bit of a slow start. But here we are 45 minutes in, and as you can see from the tracker, the players already have 3 of their stats that are at least approaching being Dragonlord eligible. So this one is definitely going to be all about the exploration. And possibly the agility. A really low agility number can really turn what should be a slam dunk against the Dragonlord into an awful slog just trying to make it through Charlock and the 7 floors that you have to get through before you get to the Dragonlord there. So it's hard to anticipate exactly how this one's going to turn out. Now, the good news in Xarnax's case is at least he did spy where there's another town, even if he died just a few steps away from it. So he has a place that he knows he can try to go back to. Meanwhile, I don't remember if Braxis had found Garenham before, but if not, he's found it now. He's taking the opportunity to stock back up on some herbs. Perhaps grab another torch if he needs it. But with Hurt More and a lot of Hurt More ability... Someone just said they like my voice, and now all of a sudden I'm tripping over my own words. A lot of Hurt Moreable enemies available. The experience is really kind of rolling in. Other than the occasional red dragon who gets in the player's way, despite the fact that they're basically naked without any actual armor, it's still the case that they're managing to cut down most of the enemies in their path and climbing up the level chain pretty quickly. But it looks like Xarnax has learned his lesson about just how much damage the red dragon can do. Fortunately, they have enough hit points that if you get below 50, using a heal more doesn't feel like a waste. Manages to take out another red dragon, and there's an 8-2-14-0. Empty Eye loves it, there were no magic points there. And not bad for level 13. A little bit worrisome that the agility is still low. And so at this point, on the screen on Braxis's side, I can't remember if that's a town that we've seen before. It looks like we're about to find out. We've already found Cantlin, but they don't have keys. Cole and Hawksness, one of the three is going to have the armor, and the other two will be empty. But let's see what this town is on Braxis's side. It's Remolder. He's got the keys. This could be a huge game changer. They know where Garenham is. Obviously, they know where Tanagel is. This creates 2 more cave opportunities for them to go downstairs and find some things. Maybe even Erdrick's sword, who knows? But for the moment, Braxis is going to get his keys. He's going to hop outside and then right back into Remolder to check the one chest that's here. And then I wonder, I don't know where he is relative to Garenham to know if he'll keep exploring from out here, or if he's just going to choose to try to go back home as quickly as possible to see what's underneath Tanagel. But in any case, with the Remolder chest, it appears to have been an herb. So not very exciting there. And unfortunately, the players don't know the return spell yet. I don't remember if any of them picked up wings anywhere, so I don't know if Braxis even has the ability to warp back home that way. He could obviously do a death warp if he wanted to, but there was magic armor available in that shop, I think. Didn't notice how much money Braxis has right now. He has 2,500. I thought I saw a half plate, and he didn't choose to buy it. That seems like an odd choice to me. Is it possibly that we have failed to track, that he's already picked up some armor and we missed it? I'm not sure. Honestly, in a seed where you do have hurt more, and also all these hit points and heal more, not having armor is not a huge detriment. And so it's not really hurting players other than that one red dragon that hit Xarnax for 50. It's not hurting them not having any armor, but at the same time, if I was in town, I had 1,000, I had the chance to get half plate, it would just increase your chances that little bit, and so I would go ahead and pick it up. But meanwhile, Braxis has made his way back to Garenham, and now he's going to get a chance to see what's in these 3 chests in the back of town. And actually, we've got a Garenham little handshake going on over here as Xarnax also walks into Garenham. There is a gold chest in the back, in fact, multiple of them. And in the downstairs in the back of Garenham, we are going to see Garen's tomb. Is this even rando? Ha ha ha. What a waste of an excellent move on the green dragon after it had already been hurt more. Meanwhile, Xarnax is still looking around, trying to get back to places. The silver harp, the final key item that they've been looking for, is in the top of Garen's tomb. They already have the fighter's ring, they don't have the death necklace, so that could be still a reason to choose to dive the tomb. However, given the way the stats in the seed are going, even without the death necklace, they're likely to be strong enough once they get Erdrick's sword to be able to win the seed, I'm guessing. So it's a really tough choice, whether you want to dive the tomb right now or not. In any case, Braxis just got another level up. It looked like some decent stats. I guess that's bringing him to the same level that Xarnax is already at. Meanwhile, Xarnax has found Hawksness. The Guardian is a red dragon. He's fought and killed many of these before, so I'm certain he'll be able to do it. And with the red dragon down, we'll see if there's anything in Hawksness. It's the armor. Hawksness is the winner. Cantlin coordinates are going to be go and fight. Coal is going to come up empty. And with the armor, that is a huge game changer for Xarnax. It was the town that he was just a few steps away from before he died last time, though, so you have to wonder if in the back of his mind, Xarnax feels like he's behind. He's thinking if Braxis was doing all the same things and didn't die to that red dragon 2 steps away, he could be 5 or 10 minutes ahead of me at this point. And finally, here's Cole. There's no point in searching the spot, because Xarnax already has all the things, but it seems like he's walking over there already anyway. He's got the token and the flute. I guess he was looking to see if there might be a Sparkle Bridge hidden under that tile, but no, there wasn't. So the sword and the death necklace are the main things that the runners could still want to find. There's the bottom of the grave that we haven't seen, and I don't remember if we've seen Free Stuff Cave. Braxis killed the metal slime. Oh, I missed that. I was too busy looking at Xarnax's side. Also, have we seen the old men? I believe we saw the jerk, but I don't remember if we ever saw Staff of Rain Cave where you turn in the harp. Perhaps chat can help me out with that. That's another thing that we might still need to find. It looks like Braxis did dive the bottom of the tomb. In the 4th chest, I think it was just gold. And we'll see what's going to go down to the 5th chest. Xarnax has keys. And yeah, the tracker wants to check off keys on both sides at this point. Xarnax is going to get the incredible news of the fantastic herb that's hidden behind these 2 doors here in Reroll. Oh, so under Tanager, right, has to be Free Stuff Cave, another vanilla. Is this even rando? But yeah, the odds are now not bad that the sword and or the death necklace could be in the Tanager treasury if I'm reading everything correctly. And I think based on what I'm seeing in the chat is we haven't seen Staff of Rain Cave and we haven't seen Sunstone's Cave, so I guess either of those could be underneath Tanager Castle. But given that the armor was in Hawksness and Garen's tomb was under Garen, I'm gonna guess that Free Stuff Cave is gonna be under Tanager. Because that's fun. And yes, I had not realized what the strength just did on level 14. We are going to be in metal slime killing range once the heroes get any kind of decent weapon. I guess we've only seen one metal slime so far, but yeah, as I mentioned before, the death necklace is probably not going to be necessary. It would just be convenient and shorten the fight if you happen to stumble across it. So if it's in the Tanager treasury, for example, people will probably put it on, I would imagine, once they get to the Dragon Lord. But if not, the Dragon Lord is going to have to count the seconds he has left to live, it's looking like. By the time the players get there, they're going to crush him. Beta has a good point in the chat. It could be the case that you could win with the broadsword plus the death necklace rather than going for the flame sword or Erdrick sword. So that is a possibility. That's another way the death necklace could come into play. But Xarnax is just about to pick up the harp. There we go. And so I think that basically brings our runners pretty even on items. Obviously, Braxis still doesn't have the armor, but Braxis is about to get level 14 right here, so he'll see the good news of a whole lot more strength as if he didn't already have a whole lot. And yeah, while the players have kind of done different exploration order, they both have enough hit points and hurt more, where they've both been successful at killing just about all the enemies they come across. And so the experience gap, you remember back at it was like 1,000 to 1,500 with the Xarnax in the lead some 20 minutes ago or whatever it was. And we're still just in that 400 experience differential. Players are really close. And we have another key location that's been found on Varaxis' side. It's Staff of Rain Cave. And he will turn it in eventually and grab his Staff of Rain. And so at this point, he has all the items necessary. He just needs to go visit the Jerk, and he can get the Rainbow Drop and be able to enter Charlock for the first time. But before he does that, he'll definitely want to find Hawksness and get some armor. Meanwhile, on Xarnax's side, I can't remember if we've seen a blue dragon before, but it appears to cast Hurt a fair amount at the time. And with that, we've seen the blue dragon, the green dragon, the red dragon, the wizard, the armored knight, I think we saw an axe knight, the golem, and the werewolf, and I don't think any of them had sleep. And so there's no great threat in Charlock. The players are going to be so strong. The only thing that's going to slow them down is their agility. However, they can make up for the lack of agility simply by killing all the enemies that they can't run from. And so, yeah, I think it's going to come down to who gets all the pieces lined up and gets the Rainbow Drop assembled with Erdrick's armor first, unless something weird happens with the location of Erdrick's sword and or the Death Necklace. That's still the wild card that could be to come. But Braxis Muse is picking up his Rainbow Drop, and so now he's just got to go find the armor. And meanwhile, Xarnax is just short of being able to deal damage for certain to a metal slime, but I wonder if this will be on his mind once he does get a better weapon or some more attack power. I think some people are expressing surprise that no one has checked the Tanadal Treasury yet, but this map has appeared to be so sprawling that I think players are really against giving up their position when they still have other locations. Xarnax still needs to find Harp Cave. Braxis still needs to find Hawksness, which is going to have the armor. I can't remember if he found Cole as well, so we might be looking for both still at this point. You want to stay alive and out in the field and try to find things, even knowing that there's going to be stuff you have to go back for later in the castle. Hawks and Cole are both north of Charlock. Okay, I didn't see where Hawks was. I did see where Cole was. So eventually Braxis is going to get up there, I presume. I don't know if either of these players draw maps while they're playing. But so far there haven't been, even if the map's been very spread out, I haven't noticed a bunch of either loops or places where there's just like a tiny little isthmus that you can sneak through to get to another portion of the map And those are the types of map features that I think tend to trip people up. So my hunch is, in a reasonable amount of time, Braxis is eventually going to find Hawks. And similarly, Xarnax, who apparently has death warped out of the bottom of the tomb, by the way, will be able to find the Harp Cave. And so, yeah, just like usual randomizer, this is a race. We're going to finally learn what's in the Tanagil Treasury. There is gold in one of the chests. I can't remember if and where we saw a silver shield. Cantlin would be the most likely location, but I don't remember what was in all the shops there. But the fact that Xarnax is gold grinding does suggest that there was a silver shield available, and with the low agility, it only takes a minute out of your time to go ahead and do this gold grind for 14,800 to be able to buy it. So I don't mind this choice at all. And we'll see if Erdrick's Sword also pops up in one of these other chests over here. Bamboo pole and Erdrick's Sword. So that is probably actually the sword. Since it was a glitch chest, we won't know for absolute certain until Xarnax checks his inventory or we see him fight somebody else. And then downstairs has got to be Sunstone's cave, I believe. So there's going to be a free item there, and so hopefully he'll remember to go down there and check in case it's the Death Necklace, because that could speed some things up. It looks like he is headed down there now. And so, in Free Stuff Cave, we have also Erdrick's Sword. So that was probably an herb, and the first Erdrick's Sword was the actual Erdrick's Sword, I think. So, Xarnax has to find Harp Cave, and then it's going to be go time. And I spent a lot of time looking at Xarnax there. I see that Braxis has opened the Rainbow Drop to Sharlock just because he happened to be passing by, but this is Hawk's Nest right there. And unless this red dragon somehow takes him out, I think he's going to be able to successfully get over to the other red dragon that is guarding some armor, and we are going to have a race, guys. If you're Braxis, of course you go back to the castle, because you don't have Erdrick's Sword, you don't have the Death Necklace, and you haven't opened the treasury, right, Tila? I can't imagine the 58 agility lets you win with the broadsword right now. I could be wrong. I haven't actually tried to think through the math. So yeah, I didn't see the level up that Braxis just got on level 15. Oh, wow. 15 heal mores? Okay. Maybe you do just go. If either Erdrick's Sword or the Death Necklace was down there, it would probably put things in range, and you probably are going to earn a level diving Sharlock whether you want to or not. With 68 agility, I personally would still be taking a lot of the fights in Sharlock. It's going to be really interesting, guys. So just as a reminder, as is somewhat suggested by the tracker, there's different color of stats. Green is kind of good to go. Orangey is getting close to being good. and white is still just kind of in an average range. And over on Brax's side, a number of the stats are turning green. The attack power, though, is one of the key stats. Your attack power, if you subtract 100 and divide by 2, that's the maximum damage you can deal to the Dragon Lord 2 in a single hit. And so at attack power of 123, that's still a maximum of 12 damage they can do. However, they have a broadsword right now. If they get, or Braxis has an odd broadsword. If he gets Erdrick's sword, that attack power is going to go up to 143, and he'll be dealing up to 21 damage in a single strike. We know the Erdrick sword is back in the castle. Back in Tanagel Castle, that is. Without it, probably comes down to what kind of thing you get at level 16 and whether the death necklace is there and he wants to go after it. Yes, I've been corrected. Betastrat points out that 123 is a max of 11 because you round down after subtracting 100 and dividing by 2. And it's also been pointed out that Braxis has money for a Flame Sword. That's another possibility. A Flame Sword would be another plus 12 to the attack power. That would definitely bring the Dragon Horde in range. A lot of possibilities here, and all the while, Xarnax, who earlier might have thought he fell behind when he died to the Red Dragon just before he got to Hawksnest, is now in the position of searching for the Harp Cave, wondering if he's falling further behind, wondering if his opponent could be diving Charlock right now. It's an awful feeling. I've been there. It's easy to be on the outside and kind of spectating in on these games and questioning all the decisions the players are making in the moment. Should Braxis have checked to see if there was a flame sword in the remove shop? Probably. I can't remember if there was, and I can't remember if he'd seen if there was. But he took a good look at his stats, and he's diving Charlock right now. So depending upon how many red dragons and/or armored knights we see, this might turn out to be a very easy dive. He's definitely taking fights the way down. In a situation like this, I would probably fight everything except golems and stone men, because they're just kind of slow, awful fights, and they're relatively easy to run from. With 68 agility, stone man is actually not all that easy to run from. Don't know that I'd want to spend magic points on sleep, though, so I'm not sure exactly what I would do with the stone men. But so far in the first 4, I've not seen any red dragons or armored knights on Braxis' side. And an enemy like a green dragon is basically free experience at this point. Also, he's getting a nice walk here without that many enemy encounters. Guess it's a trade-off. You kind of want the encounters, although he only needs a few more to get the next level up. So no encounters is probably better. A werewolf is another great enemy for Braxis. And meanwhile, Xarnax still searching, but he's headed to the south. I think I recall that Harp Cave was on the south end, so he might be getting close. He at least knows where the jerk is for sure. Braxis realizes he has a torch or finally decides to light it up to get through the next basement tier in Charlock. We're in a new enemy zone. This one contains a blue dragon, which I seem to recall has hurt and stop spell. So that's a particularly easy enemy. There's a free 180 experience for Braxis. He's getting ever closer to level 16, which will almost certainly turn things into a slam dunk if things keep going this well. And I think Xarnax might be getting close to locating the Harp Cave finally. But he's been looking for a while, and this has just gotta feel awful. And Xarnax hopefully knows where he is, and hopefully we'll go back to the left, because I think it was just around those mountains to the left, possibly. Oh no, he's going back through the swamp cave. Or no, he remembers it's the swamp cave, and he's completely convinced himself that he knows everything that's on the first continent. So it's gotta be over here on the second continent somewhere, but where? Meanwhile, Braxis is making his way down the middle of the zone. I think possibly he had to spend some herbs. And now he's actually forced to use a heal more against an armored knight. But at level 16, even just with the broadsword, 125 attack power, a whole lot of heals, and even with only 77 defense points, probably the expectation of getting some doubles in the Dragon Lord fight. Alright, Xarnax has finally found the Harp Cave. He's gotta feel like he's behind now for sure. But he has a chance to go for it. He's got Erdrick's sword, so he doesn't have to choose to take every battle. He could run from some of the easy monsters in Charlock. He won't be able to catch Braxis in all likelihood, but he could make up some time and turn this into an exciting finish. I don't remember how far of a walk it is to Charlock, though. Meanwhile, Braxis has gotten down to the bottom floor. We've got the rainbow drop acquired for Xarnax. Braxis is choosing to go for the treasury, so he's looking for the sword or the death necklace. Ironically, we don't even know if the death necklace is here, because the death necklace could be at the judge's table. First 3 chests come up empty, he's gotta be sweating it. Number 4 is a key. Number 5 is the death necklace, one of the items he was looking for. But finally the wings. I think he has to know the math is in favor. If he just puts on the death necklace, he's gonna win, so he won't go looking for the judge's table. He's just gonna go straight to the Dragon Lord, yes. He's double checking it, but he's gotta feel committed at this point. Even if he doesn't know the exact math, it looks like he's gonna have a decent shot. And at this point, you just gotta go and fight the Dragon Lord and hope it comes out good. Meanwhile, Xarnax, with his monstrous 143 attack power, has made it into Charlock, and is trying to run from a green dragon, which he ought to be able to do, but he does get blocked once. Werewolf is another enemy he can run from quickly, so we'll see just how fast he can make it down. We'll also find out who the Guardian tile is going to be. On Braxis' side, it's the Blue Dragon, perhaps the easiest enemy in all of Charlock in this particular seed. He does manage to get a bite for 27 off, but then he'd cast Hurt, which is going to bounce off of Erdrick's armor for a mere 6, followed by another one that hits for just 2. So Braxis is going to get through that battle with only a little scratch. And now gets a chance to declare himself to be a fool after putting on the death necklace and cursing himself and fighting the Dragon Lord. As a reminder, the death necklace causes you to lose 25% of your maximum hit points, but increases your attack power by 10. With the death necklace on, his attack power goes from 125 to 135, and that's a huge difference in this fight. It's going to speed things up tremendously. And with 116 hit points after the Death Necklace, in a normal kind of situation, you might get some doubles, given that their defense power is only 77, and that's something Braxis needs to be careful about. He needs to make sure he's healing at like 51 or something, rather than the usual. If he takes a swing at 49, Dragon Lord could bite him to death, so there's still the opportunity for a human error here, although I think he's probably plenty aware of it. He looked at his stats a number of times, thinking probably not only about the attack power, but also about what is where the threshold where he needs to heal. But in any case, it's very unlikely he's going to get a double attack anywhere in here, but he's not going to need it. Meanwhile, Stoneman are slowing Xarnax down. Got blocked by one, but the next one he manages to run away from on the first try. So he's making his way through the middle floors of Sharlock, not knowing that Braxis is down here fighting the Dragon Lord right now as we speak. Or as I speak anyway. Maybe you guys are speaking too. I don't know, because I can't hear you. Xarnax has made it down onto the bottom floor. Meanwhile, Braxis is finishing off his Dragon Lord 2 battle. Other than the miss menu, it's hard to imagine anything going wrong at this point. And it would be interesting to know just how much time Xarnax lost looking for the Staff of Rain Cave. If he could have saved himself just 3 minutes or so, this could have been a photo finish, I think. But get your GGs out and chat for Braxis Muse. We had a great race where we saw a number of lead changes after a crazy reroll from an awful seed, which I'm so glad that these players rerolled. Braxis is going to walk up to the king, get a dot done, and Xarnax will just have some disappointment and frustration. Good game, Braxis. You played well, and managed to win with the broadsword. That's something that doesn't happen all that often. Really interesting that this ended up being kind of like different strategies for both opponents that are both going to end up with very close finishes here. A really interesting seed, as it turns out, despite the fact that we were key locked on Remolder, and took both players a long time to find that. They got the armor at completely different times. Really, two very different routes for the two players, and it comes down to just a few minutes here. I don't know if Braxis will be available for an interview, and I also don't know, I guess Lord of the Synth, if you're still here and tracking our restreamer, could pull him into the commentary room if he does show up. But we'll see what happens there. And Beta Strep saying a terrible precedent. Not checking the treasury has ended up being a smart thing to do, but I believe we do have Braxis. Congratulations on your finish. Xarnax is actually fighting the Dragon Lord right now, so you ended up just edging him out. Tell us how you feel about the race.
First of all, I have to say, definitely a much easier start than the first one.
Oh yeah, I was so glad you guys re-rolled that.
Second of all, I'll say I took the gamble because I thought that Erdrick's sword would either be down in Sharlock or possibly in the treasury. But I found the Death Necklace instead, which gave me enough attack power in order to kill the Dragon Lord with the broadsword, so I didn't have to return back and grab it. So I was really thankful for that.
Yeah, we were talking about it in the chat. Meanwhile, on Xarnax's side, he's only at level 15, a level behind, but he did return to the treasury where Erdrick's sword was. And so he has Erdrick's sword to try to finish off the Dragon Lord with. And yeah, but in this crazy seed, the way the stats turned out, there were a variety of strategies. People also pointed out that at some point you had 50 or 9,800 money and could have possibly bought a flame sword, although I'm not sure if it was available in any of the shops. I don't know if that was ever crossing your mind.
Oh, it actually was. It was for sale in Breckenary, but honestly, I was trying to save it, and I was trying to be as frugal as I could with it because depending on what our agility and defensive power was, if I could save up, I was going to buy the Silver Shield, which was also at Breckenary, but only if I had to return to check the treasury because I didn't want to have to buy it if I didn't need to. And thankfully, like I said, I didn't have to. So
Yeah, it was very convenient kind of having both outs if you found the sword or if you found the death necklace. Also, Xarnax has just managed to finish with a time that looks like it was just maybe 2.5 minutes behind you. A really good race for us to watch. Get your GGs in the chat for both of these runners. Yeah, I don't know. Any other things you want to talk about?
like I said, I mean, I did take a couple gambles. There, I was tempted to save the princess when I knew where Swamp Cave was, but then I was like, no, I don't know if I need to because I didn't know where Caitlin was at the time. And thankfully, Hawk's Nest was right outside Charlock, and I said, I'm gonna go there. If nothing's there, then I'll be forced to go there. But lucky enough, I didn't have to waste any time doing any unneeded stuff by getting coordinates or anything because everything just seemed to show up when I needed it.
Yeah, it really did. And yeah, I think you also possibly were running without the armor for quite a while.
Yep.
And did you ever buy any armor, or did you just go from nothing straight
No,
to
I
Erdrick?
didn't buy any armor because what I wanted was full plate, and I couldn't find. I think the only place that had it was Breckenary, also, but I didn't want to have to go all the way back unless I died and could afford it. And we didn't have return at the time either, so.
Yep, and yeah, in a seed with all the hit points and hurt more, you could really go without the armor for a while. We have Xarnax now joining us in the room as well. GG Xarnax, it ended up being a close race. It looked like you were struggling to find the Harp Cave there at the end.
Oh, that was extremely frustrating. GG, Braxis.
Yeah, GG, like I was telling them, I actually took the gamble. I went down to Charlock. I entered Charlock, I believe, at level 16 with the broadsword. And I was hoping that either Erdrick's sword or the death necklace would be in the armory down there. And it was a death necklace, so I ended up killing the Dragon Lord with the broadsword, so I didn't have to call back to the armory.
It looks like we lost Xarnax out of the chat room again somehow. Hopefully he'll come back here in just a moment. I think he's back.
I will say though that map was super big. I mean, comparatively, and that was the big reason I didn't want to have to return back because it was just such a massive map. But I'll say I did struggle at the beginning. I don't know if Xarnax did. A bunch of armored axe knights right around Tantagle that kept causing problems for me.
Yeah, my internet, my connection likes to cut me out and drop me out of the room, so I didn't catch a whole lot of what you said, unfortunately. I did have that issue, though. It took a long time to get. I mean, at no point in the seed did I feel comfortable just walking around exploring. There were just so many enemies, and it was impossible. Like, agility was so low, and there were high-level enemies everywhere.
Yeah, at the beginning it looked like Xarnax had a little bit more of a patient approach, trying to work his way to the club and then eventually the broadsword once he got the money out of Mountain Cave. Whereas Braxis was trying to explore a little bit farther afield, and so at the beginning Xarnax had a little bit of an experience lead, but only by a few hundred experience by the time you got to level 10 and hurt more.
Okay.
I think starting out with sleep was actually really good because I mean it was very useful for both offense and defense.
Oh,
But
yeah.
there was a large stretch where we didn't have any spells whatsoever.
Yeah, Hurtmore came at level 10 as I recall, and up until then, yeah, other than sleep, you didn't have a whole lot of utility. I guess Healmore came relatively early on, which also helped get some exploring going on, but yeah, until Hurtmore, that really broke it open since there were so many Armored Knights. Xarnax, also tell us about the first time that you were walking up to Hawks.
No. Oh my gosh, that I had a feeling I was behind at that point. That was just a really bad calculation. I thought I don't know why I thought this, but I thought I had better defense. I didn't think it was going to be able to kill me, and it could swing for quite a bit more.
I was surprised to see the Red Dragon deal 50 as well, even despite the lack of armor.
Yeah, Braxis. I was 2 steps away from Hawksness and encountered a Red Dragon. I had 44 HP and figured I could. I had 4 or 5, at least 3 heal mores, maybe more. I figured I was going to be able to kill it and then be able to see what the town was. And I swung at 44 and then it hit me for 50. So, yeah, that was a massive setback.
I will say though, I was a little concerned with my Dragon Lord 2 fight because having 116 hit points, I was getting a lot of.
You missed it,
minimal,
Xarnax. Braxis went with the broadsword.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because
I actually, if I had found the silver, the staff of rain turn in, I was considering doing the same thing. But I walked what I thought was around that entire continent and didn't see it, so I was like, well, I guess I'll check Tanagel's basement.
Yeah, because I didn't check the armory and I didn't check Tanagel's basement either, because by the time I got keys, I hadn't been back there, so I took the risk to go to Sharlock and see what was down there, hoping that Erdrick's sword would be there and I could just finish it off, but it wasn't. The Death Necklace was there instead, which gave me 135 attack power with the broadsword at 116 life, but I kept getting a ton of minimum rolls and almost no doubles, so I was kind of concerned there towards the end. I ended up, I think, winning with, 20 MP.
Okay. Yeah, I never. I knew the Death Necklace when it was in the Sharlock Treasury, but by the time I knew I didn't need it because I did have to go back to. Yeah, going back. I went back to Tanagel 2 more times than I wanted to, and then had to walk all the way back. It was. And that second walk looking for the Staff of Rain turn in was very, very long and painful.
Yeah, it was a big map, but as Tilo said in the chat, to both runners, neck and neck the whole seed, exceptionally entertaining. There was definitely lead changes in the experience a number of times, and since you guys were doing things in different orders and ended up taking a different kind of sword and level strategy to the end, it was not clear who was going to win it until the end, so it was very fun to watch. So I hope you guys enjoyed racing, and I'm glad you guys re-rolled the other seat.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm really thankful for the reseed there, because I've been on vacation most of the month, so I haven't had a chance to play. This was actually the first game I've played for Dragon Warrior Rando in like 5 weeks, so I mean, it was kind of nice to see like the new map with all the bridges and stuff like that, but I mean, I wasn't expecting to even come close to what I did today, so.
All right, well, you entertained us and had a good run. There's a reminder that there's going to be more racing tonight at 11 p.m. I believe on Randomania, just Randomania, 1 or 0 or nothing. So look forward to that. And I want to thank our restreamer, Lord of the Synth, and our tracker, Z-Man, for doing this race. Once again, check out the runners, Braxis Muse and Xarnax42. We've got that popping up in the chat as well. But I think at this point, we're ready to sign off and hope to see you guys again for more Dragon Warrior Randomizer in the future.